I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I call to order our special city council meeting of January 7th. Our second item on the agenda is discussion and possible action to approve resolution 2019-01, which would allow city staff to move forward in applying for a ACOG surface transportation block grant for a project that city staff will talk to us about. Staff?
We have applied for this project last year and it did not get funded. But since it's been over a year, kind of go through the history of the project. The watershed that drains to Wentz comes from Division back to Wentz, and then from the Temple this way to Wentz is pretty much the watershed that all drains down to Wentz Avenue. Over time, of course, with more roofs, more paving, that has increased. Back when in the 1890s, 1900s, it's my understanding that this was a ravine that went through here. And so everything drained to that ravine naturally. Then there was a railroad here at one time that went up to the old Iron Hotel here at Wentz, Oklahoma. And that's why there was a bridge here when they took the railroad out in the late 20s, 30s. They put the football stadium in. Instead of taking the bridge out, they just widened the street and paved over it, so everybody forgot the bridge was there.
Nice.
Yeah, and so it's been there since the 30s. And the locker rooms and everything were under that bridge. There was a drainage roughly 4 feet in diameter, concrete. It's not a circle, but it's more of an oval shape. The existing tube runs down through here, goes under the football field, baseball field, under the admin of the fire department down to Snake Creek. Right now, what's happening when you get a big rain event is you have localized flooding in some of the buildings downtown, this Piles building. This project won't guarantee that won't happen, but it should eliminate it or reduce it. It should make a significant difference. But this project will stop right here. Currently, what happens is the capacity of the existing line is no longer adequate to handle the amount of flow, stormwater flow. So there is an inlet underneath that old bridge by the stadium. So it will surcharge and it will come up that manhole. And when you sit at the football stadium and you see those doors, it will come out those doors onto the stadium. Of course, a lot of people don't realize that because when we're getting a 4 or 5 inch rain, not many people are sitting down the stadium. This project will stop right here because the particular funding source for this project will not allow us to get funding except for road improvements. Later, at some point, if funding is available, it would make sense to further address this and have a second drainage tube put in along the football and baseball field and then to go along parallel this.
Because as it stands right now, it's still all going to dump right to the football field.
It will, when it reaches capacity,
right,
anything above that will go on the football field.
Are we still talking about the, go ahead.
Okay.
I'll find it.
So what this does is, this drainage on Division is part of and incorporated in our streetscape project that ODOT says is going out for bids in September of this year. Cannot use the money from this grant for, because we tried to move it into this so we could get 80% of that funded, but cannot use it on the state highway, this grant. if you take winds from Cleveland down past Harrison, where the bridge used to be, there will be new drainage improvements that will enhance or increase the capacity. And there will be another second line that sits on top of this one. So you'll have two primary lines. And then there'll be new drainage inlets from along Oklahoma, and the same with Harrison. And so that should help get this water out of this area quicker and get it down to here. The project will also include taking the bridge out, and we'll talk about funding in a minute, but first I thought we'd explain the project. We will take the bridge out, and with the current design, the way it's being designed, we will not have to touch the wall of the football stadium. It will stay in place. We'll put a retaining wall on the back side of it, the bridge side, and then it will be attached to secure it, and then it's been recommended that we use a fillable fillable concrete.
Fill.
Yeah. Rather than compacted dirt, because it's a more permanent solution. That adds about $150,000 to that project. So if we're gonna fund it locally, we might wanna do that, but because that's part of the project itself is 80% federally funded, that's only $30,000 more to us, because the federal grant will pick up 80% of the 150. But we'll get more into the funding in a minute.
You can probably answer this question. Flowable fill, the compaction on it is what, like 98%?
Well, at least, yeah. I mean, it will.
99%.
Right.
It's really, really, really good. And it's impossible to do that with anything else.
Yes. Okay. So that's the overall project. Now, and what will happen underground, the drainage part. Now, on the surface, what we will do, because we'll have to redo Oklahoma and part of Harrison, is our proposal is when we come back, put these roundabouts in on Oklahoma, on this end and this end. If we do a smaller one, we could stay in our right of way, but initially we'd like to look at a wider one, which would take part of this parking lot, which the city owns, by the dentist office. Then on this one, if we do this one, it will not affect Mr. Pyle's building. Here's your building right here, but that little parking area, we may need to buy some right of way, that little parking area, out of that little parking area. The advantages of this, it's not in the budget at the present time, but if we do this, what we'd like to do is add ballards, retractable and permanent on both of these. So then when you had a smaller event here, there are virtually no changes to winds. But when you had an event, you could raise these retractable ballards, and these would be here on a permanent basis. And say you have a high school pregame event. The opportunity for anybody to drive into the crowd is significantly limited because you have ballards. This year, of course, putting out the old, kind of like, yeah, somebody drove through that this year at one of the pregame events. Fortunate that nothing severe happened, but this would make it a more secure area for those.
Homeland Security pay for part of that?
We've not worked out the funding part of that yet. The
Interesting idea.
The other thing is, by doing this, when you close for a smaller event, you still have Willoughby's. You can come up here, make the circle, come back, so you can get in and out to Willoughby's. You can come up here and get back so you have access to the eye doctor. Then if you had a larger event, you could go back to Broad, or you could go back to Oklahoma and close it off. Same way up here, by having, my understanding, this is the oldest traffic signal in town. So it'll take the oldest traffic signal out, make this a roundabout here, and we could have a series of bollards here. Again, so that you could have retractable bollards and permanent bollards that would reduce, even in the alleys. Then when you had like red brick nights, the opportunity or chance of somebody driving into the crowd is significantly reduced. It's a more secure environment. But again, the ballards aren't in the budget we're doing tonight, but we are working on a budget for that.
And part of that is funded by the 80/20 and part of it's not, is that correct?
Correct. Now to go to the budget part, in your packet,
I haven't, not got a packet.
And parking wouldn't be affected, correct? If I remember correctly. If it is blocked up, it wouldn't affect the I-90 parking, or will it be?
not in front.
Yeah.
Correct. There is a sheet that looks like this one that has $1 million.
Yep.
Be the sheriff's first budget sheet. Okay. So if you look on there, the construction, including the bridge, the drainage work and the street work, but not the ballards, you're looking at $3,881,000.
For the total thing?
Total thing for construction.
Okay.
Construction, out of this grant, ODOT pays 80%. So they will pay $3.1 million. Okay, that means we will pay $776,000. We pay 100% of the engineering fee, and we pay 100% of any utility relocation, which would be water, sewer lines, and then any right-of-way. Right now, we hadn't planned for any right-of-way acquisition.
We've done none of the engineering on this other than drawings.
We've done, if you look at engineering to date, we've done $166,000 of the engineering to date. So when you look at engineering fee, 266,
Okay.
we've already used
We got 100 grand more.
$100,000. Correct. So our cost is $1 million for the project. If you go to the next sheet, this is if we use the flowable fill.
Which next sheet you want?
Bridge and Bridge, then
It says alternate one.
alternate number one.
CRSM.
You're right there.
Page 2.
Okay. This is if we did not apply for the grant, and we did the bridge with 100% local money,
$100 million.
$1 million.
Same deal.
So roughly,
And all we get's the bridge.
correct.
Yeah.
So roughly, you could apply for the grant with the 80% construction funding. You can get these drainage improvements, these street improvements, get the bridge taken out and replaced, or we could just locally spend $1 million and just address the bridge on it.
So basically, we're getting $3 million worth of stuff for $1 million.
Correct.
Well, basically, we're spending $1 million.
We're spending $1 million anyway. You got
My wife would tell me she'd save $2 million.
Yeah. I'm sure she's
Smart
watching.
lady.
You'll hear about this when you get home.
What's alternate 2?
That is if you use compacted dirt instead of the concrete flow fill, which is not recommended.
Did we just cross that off?
Yeah, go with something that's more permanent.
Kenny and Bill Myers could probably answer more technical questions, but I just wanted to kind of give the highlights of the project.
So we're not putting in any kind of a holding tank like we talked about originally to hold the water because we still don't have enough to go underneath the.
That was an alternate we looked at, but we feel this is a better alternate to address the issue.
So let it flow.
Just gonna let it come out
And let it flow.
water the football field with it.
Flow.
Football field, exactly.
And it'll probably be better off down the road, years from now, because that cistern's gonna take maintenance down the road. It's gonna become a bridge
Till when we
that
start
we're dealing
flooding all
with.
the firehouse and all that stuff, then we'll have to fix it.
We can tear Eric's fire apart now.
Is that right?
He's not here, so we can tear his fire.
He's
We gotta make, we gotta make an investment regardless.
Yeah, regardless, that's what I'm
Regardless, we gotta make
saying. So
a
here's the
$1 million
next question,
investment.
do we have $1 million to do this?
We may have to borrow against future CIP money, but yes, we can find the funding to do this project.
Well, so we looking for a motion?
Yes.
I'm gonna motion that we do first project.
I
Second.
second that, yeah, I think that's.
Motion and a second to approve the staff to move forward with this.
With grant.
Is there any other discussion?
Show of hands.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. It's a unanimous approval by all the council
That's here.
present to move forward with that approving resolution 2019-01.
Just so that, I'm sorry to interrupt you, we're just applying for this right here, we're not doing anything, right?
Correct.
Still everybody understand?
Still have to
Okay.
get applying for the funding
Right.
at this time.
But we're gonna be, let's be real clear, we're gonna be $1 million out regardless.
Yeah, anyway, you cut it.
So, but now the next question is if we do this first route here, which we've already agreed to do, how does that play into your whole streetscape thing?
The way we're doing this. is-
Downtown park, whatever we wanna call it.
We're doing it where this is a standalone project.
Right,
My understanding right now, the emphasis of the city council is to prioritize the sports complex. So that's a $14 million project.
right.
Trying to figure that out. The downtown event center is probably going to go on the back burner, at least for a while. But if later on we come in and do a downtown event center, we would add to this project, not take away.
Right, that's where I was going.
And a lot of the infrastructure will already be there,
Correct.
which will
Correct.
greatly reduce the
But we
the
make
bottom line
this,
cost at that point.
if we never do the downtown event center, this is a
Yeah, do it.
standalone project. But we did it in such a way that if we do the event center later on, if we find funding and want to move forward with it, then we would just add to this project. We wouldn't have to tear things out and
Right,
redo things.
right,
How
right.
much do you think the little bumps are gonna cost?
I don't have a good feel for that.
No feel at all,
We're still looking at it.
cause that's gotta,
You mean the?
that's an automated
bollards?
underground deal,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You talking about bollards or bump outs?
The bollard
The bollards.
things,
Bollards.
I don't have a number on them yet.
that's gotta be expensive.
Those automatic ones?
But wouldn't that, some of that be part of this deal?
It would be, and we have some contingencies and stuff, so what we will probably do.
Two of them
is-
would work, right?
What we will probably do is bid it out as an alternate, an add-on alternate, and then if bids come in and we don't need the contingency, then we could put it into the project. Use those funds.
Okay, well, very good, very good. Move forward, hope that we are, well, we think we're very competitive, but it's obviously a competitive grant. Whenever you talk about 80-20 splits, there's a
That's
lot of
kinda what we want,
competition
though.
out there. So let's, we'll keep our fingers crossed going into the new year. So, good. Item number 3, consider approval to convene into executive session for purpose of discussing some issues with the city
So
manager.
moved.
A motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. Unanimous approval to move into executive session right behind me.
Is there food?
Okay, I reconvene our special city council meeting of January 7th.
We're not Leroy here.
He's down, he's at with special preservation, I think.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4. Item number 4 on our agenda is consider action regarding city manager.
You want me to text him and have him come up?
No, it's fine. We just-
I make a motion that we give Leroy a bonus of $2,500.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Unanimous approval. City council, all members present to approve a $2,500 bonus for our city manager. With that, ladies and gentlemen, that's the last item on our agenda. We are adjourned. Thank you. Thank you very much.